Alright, so here we are in the back corner of the treehouse. I just finished fastening this piece here, which now 3 sides of the treehouse are sheathed. I need to come back and do trim work at the corners and things, but the actual sheathing is up. And it's not too much of interest to see back here. It's just a corner side of the T111. But I did want to demonstrate this, because hopefully you see the wind come. The tree is behaving very still right now. It's just gently moving. You can see the tree moving relative to the siding. As I was trying to squeeze a cordless drill back here where my hand is, it was very difficult. And there, it's just barely moving. Of course, now that I'm trying to film it, the tree has stopped. But this was really swinging relative to the treehouse. And thankfully, down here, the way I have the treehouse supported, if you go back to the very early videos, you can see more details of this. But the way the treehouse is supported seems to be working out very well, in that these beams are being held on properly. It's allowing the tree to move independently of everything. So that's where we stand right now with the treehouse, and next thing we'll do is turn our attention to this front face, which shouldn't be too bad since I actually have decking to stand on. And then with the front face done, then we get, it's hard to see in this light, but there's a little triangle shaped piece here. You can see the triangle shaped piece back there. That'll be the final thing to side in. But actually, once I get the base siding done here, I have to make a little Z metal out of copper that fits between the panels of T111 before I put the top T111 on. So next up, it's sheathing this front wall, then we'll make some copper trim. I was a little overeager and installed this first of the 2 panels that go on the front face. And I realized that I've got this aluminum. This is the counter flashing that goes down the bottom of the wall. And what I need to do is cut it here so I can take this piece and fold it down so we're not tripping on it, since this is the doorway. So what I've just done is loosened up the fasteners that went into this stud and the bottom half of this stud so I could pull the wall off, and I've got a little wedge of wood, leftover piece from one of the bird's mouths I cut, and I just jammed it in there to give me a little bit of space. Right now I'm going to take my snips and trim that, and then peen that down and nail it off. And then I'll re-secure this piece and get to installing the next piece. Now I've got it cut and bent down, nailed off. I should have used roofing nails, which have a nice fat head on them, but I only had these little 10-penny nails for putting in the Ticos. That's what was in my pouch. So anyway, we made it work. So I got 4 nails here, and if we come around the outside, threw a couple nails in the face to prevent this from lifting as I bent it over. This piece here, because I couldn't put nails over here, I put a screw back in here. Once I had it cut, I screwed this back in to let this keep some pressure on it. I bent it by hand, took the hammer and wrapped along the top, wrapped along here. It doesn't make a perfectly straight edge, but it's pretty damn close. And if we swing around here, you can see what this side looks like. That's not obscured by the T111 siding or my hand. Sorry, I'm holding this camera upside down, so it's a little awkward. And just a cut and fold it back in. If this was a truly watertight, house joint and everything, I would go further to put some flexible flashing in here to close off this joint that's all in here, and especially the pinhole that's right there. But in terms of the treehouse, I think this will be fine. So next thing to do is to re-secure this piece of siding, because I only secured it on the bottom, so I got to re-secure this. Then on the inside, I'll cut it here for my doorway, and then I hang the piece that goes here, and this first course of siding is done. In order to cut this piece of scrap off, that was where the T111 ran into the doorway, I just used a reciprocating saw, nice long wood blade. I was actually inside the treehouse. I leaned the saw up against this and cut through. With a little bit of work, even a tip like that, you can get to plunge through the wood. And then I just cut up and down. You can see a little bit of marking here on the edge, and it's not a perfectly clean cut, but it'll be covered by trim. It's more than acceptable. Where it got a little tricky was down here, where the T111 siding runs down below the flashing. And the last thing I wanted to do was cut this with the saw blade. So I brought from the inside, I brought the cut down to about here. Then I came around outside and I took the saw, fed the blade into the cut, and with the saw well below like this, I brought it in and cut the face. Now I stopped short of going all the way through because even from this angle, I didn't want to cut the aluminum. And then from there I just snapped it off, which you can see leaves this little bit. And that's not really a big deal because I'm going to take just a regular utility knife, a couple scores, I'm going to snap it off, and we'll be good to go. And here we are after the cut. You can just faintly see right there's a couple of scratches in the paint here, and that's all the knife did. I didn't cut it in any real way. And this is all aluminum, so the fact the white paint is a little scratched where it's going to be completely hidden by trim is frankly irrelevant. I get this cut nice and clean, and there we have it. That's the door trim. Now to put the panel on this side of the doorway, and then the next thing I'll need to do is make the trim for the top. But first, this panel. So this is the last bit of work on the actual treehouse today. I got that second panel done on the front face. You see this gap here is part of the door, and if I peek inside, you see the door will run all the way to that stud that I can't even reach. It's a ways in there. That being said, I'm not going to bother cutting it now because it's going to be a long time before I put the door in, and I want to keep this relatively watertight. So right now this hole is about 1/3 the size it would be after I cut it. It's just that much less water that'll get in. Now I do realize, as I say that, I've got these giant gaping triangle-shaped holes at the top, but that is the next thing I'm going to do. I'm not sure what time it is now. Hopefully today I have time, but the next thing I need to do is make some copper trim that'll go above this, and it'll come down vertically behind the upper panel, across the top of this lower panel, and down the face of the lower panel, so that any water that penetrates the upper panel sheds out. It's drip-like. So that'll be the next thing I do, is make that copper trim, and then once I get the trim installed, then I can worry about these triangles and that clear story that you can see in there. So still lots left to do, but we're making visible progress. These are the nice big pieces that go on quickly and cover the wall. So that's it on the treehouse for now.